First off, major credit to UCLA, wire to wire. Very impressive. I think the world of Corey and her staff. Just had them prepared and locked in and ready to roll. And what they've done this year has been extremely impressive. And they were great today. I also think you saw a lot of senior leadership on their end. A team that's been on a mission since the Final Four last year. They probably had a similar feel in their stomachs last year at the Final Four, which provided plenty of fuel for them this year with so much talent. And I think what you saw with a team with us, we got on our heels early. And what you saw was if you let that margin get a little too great, you can never really ever shrink it. And then with a younger team, which we're a lot younger than we're older, it just got away from us mentally, emotionally, and certainly physically. So a lot of credit to them. I don't think I coached my best. I told the kids that. But I would hope that this loss does not define Iowa women's basketball season. I think they've been stellar all year. I would say that I think anybody in the country, even though this ending, they still would have taken it. To be in a championship game in the Premier League, even though the way it ended wasn't great. What these people have accomplished with a lot of adversity. Taylor McCabe got hurt. She was my main outside scoring threat. Every play call was pretty much designed around her. We recalibrated, found a way to go on a winning streak and end up in the big championship. So I'm really proud, very disappointed, but more proud than disappointed.
Okay, at this time we ask the Iowa media who have questions to raise your hand and we'll bring you a microphone. We'll start over here. A reminder to identify your name and affiliation when you ask the question because we are transcribing and we do want that in there. Go ahead on this side.
Hi, Jonah Fry from the Daily Iowan. To either of you, what do you guys feel you were able to prove on that run to the championship game?
I think that we were able to show our camaraderie as a team. Our program is built on blue-collar plays and playing through assists and fighting each other and sticking together. And so I think us being able to work our way up to this championship game was our demonstration of that.
Okay, Chit-Chat. You have anything to add?
I would just say no matter the outcome, we just go out there, we play our game, Iowa women's basketball, whether we're up or down, and just having that consistency as a team, never shying away from the moment, and yeah.
Let's go center all.
Jalen Holmes with Double Take Sports. So Ava, it's not easy going up against experience and height, but you still managed to be efficient, only missing 4 shots. What does that say about your relentlessness and approach to the game?
I think it's a credit to my teammates. I can't get those shots on the block. I can't get those shots without Chat's passes or Taystrom. But that's just a credit to how good our team is at finding the post play. And then also, we got some pretty great coaches. We got Coach Jay, we got Coach Randy, Coach Lysandra. They're working us out. They're getting us better. And they see the future, and they're striving to get us post to be the best we can be.
In Chit-Chat, despite the loss, you all had a great season, and you had an amazing season yourself. What have you learned about yourself throughout this year?
I would just say I've stepped into this leadership role. I knew that with committing here, that I would take on a bigger role. And just being a little bit more vocal, I've seen a lot of growth in that area, and just really stepping into that moment. And even though I didn't knock down the shots and I really wanted to, just being able to take those shots and having pride that I'm going to make it and knock it down next time, that's something I've seen growth into as well. So.
Okay, let's go to the second row over here.
Hi, ladies. Brad from W Swish. Can either of you speak to Addie's impact, what she's been bringing to the team over the course of the past few weeks?
Yeah, Addie is a great player. She has a really high clip at the three-point line. And, as a freshman, it's hard to be thrust into a game where, there's all this athleticism and strength, and the pace of the game is quicker. And so I think she's doing a really good job learning on the fly and getting better through that.
Chit-Chat, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, she brings a lot to the game, and I know a lot of people there's a lot of pressure on her coming in as a McDonald's All-American, but she continues to come in every day and work just as hard as everybody else, and it shows on the court as well. So.
Okay, let's go in the back.
I'm Sarah from IU Sports Capital Program. For both players, can you explain what made UCLA's offense so difficult to stop?
Yeah, I can take it. There's just not a lot of weaknesses. You can try to front bets and you can try to help off the corner, but they're going to find that person that's a pretty good three-point scorer. You think, her sister coming in, you might have a little drop off, but what was she today? 7 for 8, right? They just don't have a lot of weaknesses offensively. And they can put it on the bounce. They can score, interior. It's, score at will. They could probably, just throw it to Betts most of the time and score. And they have Kiki Rice, a premier point guard. So they just have a lot of weapons. And they'll make you pay for, a gamble, but you have to pick sometimes what you're going to do. If you're going to front, if you're going to play behind, you're going to double. So they make you pay for that. But then on top of it, typically you just make some mistakes in a game just because you're human. And when you make a mistake on a closeout, or we had a bad rotation, they're going to make you pay for it. And also, we're pretty decent in transition defense. This was as poor as I've seen us play transition defense this whole season. But I do think that is sometimes the mark of a younger team. You just can't reel it in mentally. And you're just forgetting to hustle back, and you have to take Neepkins even if you're a post player, because she's going to jack it. And those are things we weren't as headstrong as we could have been. But it's just their depth. And if the pundits are right, they say they're all going to the league, right? Which is pretty impressive. Most of us, if we have one or two, go, but they have a lineup like that.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and dismiss the players. Wish you a lot of luck in the NCAA tournament. Thank you. At this time, if the Iowa folks would want to get a question or two in with Coach, go ahead.
Hi, Coach Jan. Jonah Fry with the Daily Iowan. Following what's happened these last few days in this Big Ten tournament, what is your message to the team now heading into the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think the big thing I really have to do is make sure that everybody else is going to make a major deal about this, and I probably will too, but I can't let them. Because they've had a heck of a year. And, it really wasn't our day. I don't think we should have lost by this margin. I really don't. I think we just let it get away from it, and that's on me. But I do think UCLA is very, very good. So we just have to, take our licking, and we have to, just understand that we played a great, great team, and we weren't nearly at our best. But I've got to focus on that glass that's half full, because these guys did a lot of things this year that a lot of people didn't think they would ever do. And it's just, it's unfortunate this ending had to be, quite so lopsided. But if you take that out of it, this team has really done a lot of great things, and I hope we'll use this disappointment and make us better. One of my favorite quotes is, disappointments and setbacks make losers bitter, but they make winners better. And I would just be surprised if this group didn't let it make it better.
Let's go to the far side over here.
Jack Maloney, CBS Sports. You mentioned Kiki Rice earlier. I'm curious, from an opposing coach's perspective, just what makes her so difficult to deal with?
She's just a 3-level scorer. She's strong, she's big, she's tall, she's confident. She can defend full court. She can pull it behind you go below her ball screen. You chase over the top of it. She can get into the rim. She can hit a 3. It's not her favorite thing, maybe her strongest thing, but she does it better than most people in the country. And she's just heady and a leader, just definitely a coach on the floor. She talks, she leads, she's calm, she's steady. So that type of leadership, with everybody else they have, that's a pretty lethal leader.
Okay, let's go to the second to last row in the center.
Dwayne Marcus, Basketball Society. Despite the result, this is what I believe is the 6th time that you guys have played in this game in the last 8 years. Can you talk about what that means to you for this program to be a staple at the top of the conference for so long?
Yeah, I think I am proud of that. We've had a lot of success in this tournament. It's hard to get here. It's just hard. March is fun. It's hard. Sleepless nights and quick adjustments. I was thinking about, today we had the 8 o'clock shoot around and, I kind of pulled our team and, elected to get a little sleep, but you just don't have time to go over different actions. So you kind of do it in the ballroom, right? So they're just really good. So you get here and you're playing, I think this will be probably one of Corey's best teams of her career. She might, lock up and reload, but this particular group is pretty stellar. I am proud of the history that we've had. I certainly have a tremendous mentor, Lisa Bluter, getting us here and, putting us in those positions. And obviously we got a few titles her last part of her career. So that's what I'm trying to do. Didn't look like it today, but our motto is blue collar, blue bloods. So we're trying to win those blue collar plays. But I like the makeup of our team, and I think we can keep us in that upper echelon.
Final question for Coach.
Yes, hi, Coach. Brad from W. Swish. Can you please speak to the growth that your freshman and sophomore have gone through over this grueling Big Ten season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they've really been coming along. Chit-Chat, Wright. We just didn't see as good what you did a little bit last night, but I think she's going to really turn into something pretty special. I played her too many minutes and kept running things forward. She wasn't quite as effective as a shooter as she really can be. But she's really grown by leaps and bounds. You think about a year ago, she was coming off the bench at Georgia Tech, and then I think she got a couple starts, but then she's been asked to kind of lead and take us, a program that's continuing to try to be on the rise. So I think she's really grown by leaps and bounds. I think Ava Heiden, it wasn't her best performance today, but it's still 7 for 11 against Betts. And we didn't make it so easy with her because our guards were facing so much pressure. That's why we really couldn't get a lot going. I just couldn't get our guards freed up to be able to, get some actions for themselves other than Chit-Chat. But I think Ava, Taylor Strimlow, she had such a stellar game last night. She's got a lot of moxie, and she's really developed and come on. Journey Houston, boy, she's been, she's definitely undersized today. She's been undersized most of the season, but she's the big reason why we've got here. Addie Deal is, freshman. I think Chit-Chat said it, came in with a lot of fanfare and hype, but, you still have to adapt and, understand the process is the process, and I think she's done that really beautifully. I'm pretty excited about the future. We got a really great kid coming in out of California as a freshman, so I am really pleased with that.